The video that you're about to see is really going to change your life forever. In all honesty, this is the information that everyone should have gotten long before they were even thinking about getting married. The way I'm going to do this is like this. I'm going to go through the principles of marriage, during which at some point I'm going to take about a minute to talk about our offerings, go back to the principles of marriage that you have to know. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you timeless techniques that will certainly improve what's going on in your marriage right now. So let's begin. The very first thing to bear in mind is that marriage isn't a standalone. It's unique, but it operates within the context of your life as an individual. I'm speaking to you as an individual. You're married to your soulmate. I don't care whether you're a man or a woman, and I'm sure your husband is either a wife or a husband. But here it is. We have to start with the basic premise of what all of us seek in life and in our marriage, and that is happiness. We want to be happy. You know who else wants us to be happy? God. This is not going to be a religious discussion, but the principles, which are truthful and universal, of course, were created by God. God loves you. God loves all of us. And as any father, God wants us, his children, to be happy. This is important to remember because what that does is it validates that the reason why he created marriage in the first place is not to create suffering, but to create happiness, to give us a venue, a very unique and specialized venue in which we can be happy, more than happy. All of us have heard the expression marital bliss. This is not some made up phrase by the greeting card companies. This is a real thing, marital bliss. Marriage is a phenomenal entity. It's much more than any of us have ever imagined. Think about when you got into an airplane. We do that regularly now. We get into an airplane because we have to go someplace. And what do? We start thinking, man, these seats are so narrow. Man, there's hardly any legroom. Oh my God, look at the passenger in front of me. Are they going to annoy me during this whole trip? What we don't think about, and we should be thinking about when we get into an airplane, is this amazing vehicle that's going to lift us up and take us through the skies. But because of human nature, we don't. We get into the negativity. And this is what happens in our marriage. You cannot be happy if you're focused on the negativity. It just doesn't work. Going back then to what marriage is constructed for, it is constructed for our happiness. And that proof of that is very simple. God, your Father, wants you to be happy. Then why aren't we happy in our marriage? The question isn't really, why didn't God make our marriage happier? The question is, what are we doing wrong? Now, this is not to blame you. We were not taught. This is not to blame your husband or your wife. They were not taught. So imagine if you got into a car, a high-end sports car, maybe a Maserati, given the keys, go have fun. And you've never driven before, because before you got married, well, it might be your second or third marriage, but before you got married, you never were in a marriage before. You were never given the instruction before. You get in the Maserati, your marriage, you take off. Next thing you know is you're driving into a tree. You can't control it. You don't even know how to control it. And every sound when you're driving is going to scare you. What's going on? What's happening to my marriage? Let's say you take that Maserati down the highway and you're cruising along nicely, but no one's ever taught you, and I know this is a little far-fetched, no one has ever taught you that you have to stay on the main part of the highway. And so you start drifting off to the right, and pretty soon the car is shaking, and you're going, oh my God, did I get the wrong car? What is going on here? Because we don't know. All you have to do is move back. There is a mechanical structure to marriage, just like there is in every single thing that God has created. There's a mechanical structure. When we understand the mechanical structure of marriage, we don't need particular advice for how to straighten things back out, because we will know, oh, I've driven off the road a little bit. I have to bring it back to the road. So it's important to learn the do's and the don'ts. But let's get into this a little more deeply first. The basis of marriage. I've already mentioned that we get married to be happy. Now, if you ask yourself, what makes me happy? Your mind will come up with many things. It'll come up with a new car, maybe even a Maserati, a raise at work, meeting a new friend. There are a lot of things that create happiness. But those levels of happiness, and again, this is not something that we learn, and we really should. Those kinds of happiness are fleeting. They come, and then over time, they go. What really brings us happiness, substantial happiness that is so deep, it's touchable. We know it. There's only one thing, and that is love. Love is it. And so why we get married is for happiness, but we believe we got married because we fell in love, because no one taught us the connection. We just assume I got married out of love. Nothing wrong with that. You did. But we are not tuned into the next step. Our happiness, our true deep happiness, comes from love. What does that tell us? This is a principle. It tells us that in order for us to be happy in our marriage, we have to experience that love. Well, you can't experience anger and love at the same time. The love doesn't go away, but there's an eclipse effect. So that anger blocks out those feelings of love. We can't be jealous. There's an eclipse effect. We can't be fretting about something, morose, allow ourselves to go into a mood. There are so many things that get into the way of happiness. And we need to learn what those things are so that we can do something about it. Now, this is a very deep principle I'm about to share with you, very deep. So I want you to try, if you can, to write it down, but try to remember this. Because love is a spiritual thing. It is not a material thing. They're spiritual and material. I'm not talking about a cult. I'm talking about spiritual, meaning from God. Because love is spiritual. It is above all the material things in life. Because of that, you might say that your marriage, for you, put aside how you think your husband or your wife is right now. For you, your marriage is a spiritual path. Now, what do I mean by a spiritual path? I've read books about saints. You've studied about saints. Maybe you've just heard about Saint Francis, one of the more famous saints. And what he is talking about, what he is doing, is he is driving his life towards the ultimate happiness, which is love, and the ultimate source of love, which is God. So that love becomes a spiritual pursuit. In your marriage, that love is your spiritual pursuit because you want happiness. I hope that makes sense to you. So the interesting thing about a spiritual path is this, and again, they should be teaching this to us, but they don't know, not for the most part. A spiritual path is comprised of, yes, seeking God's love. You could just say God, you could just say love. It's interchangeable when you're married. That's what you're seeking. But at the same time, we're imperfect beings. And so even though we are forgiven and we are loved for our imperfections, we must learn to love our spouse with all of their imperfections. That's a challenge. It's one of the biggest challenges that I have in helping people resurrect their marriage. And now I'm going to take a minute or so to talk about our offerings. We have free offerings, and it won't take long. We have the videos like this one. We have articles, free. We also go to our website at themarriagefoundation.org, and you'll find that we have an Ask a Counselor link if you have a question. Then we have other offerings that do cost some money, not expensive. For those who are seeking to be married, we have a Find Your Soulmate course. It's an online course, very effective. Then we also have a course for those who are about to get married, premarital course, where there's two parts to it, one for the husband and one for the wife. And then our biggest seller, best way to put it, is our online courses. One is for men, one is for women. It's an individual process where you will learn all of these things that I'm teaching now, and a lot more, of course, and step by step how to refurbish your marriage. Now let's go back to the teachings, okay? So when you see the value in understanding that your marriage is a spiritual path, a drive for love, then what we do is we make love and happiness the pole star. In other words, it's the guide for all of our behaviors. You see, we take our behaviors for granted. We just think we will be accepted. And that's because we should be accepting our spouse also, but we don't. Just like when you got into that airplane and all you did was complain and worry and be concerned, even though you're in this incredible technological marvel. Same with marriage. We're in this marriage with our soulmate. And this is a belief, okay? This is my belief. Everything else I'm telling you is truth, like gravity. This is my belief, is that God assigned each one of us a soulmate. And he's got this incredible computer. He knows what he's doing. And when we find our soulmate, and this is going back to the spiritual path, there's two parts to this. One part is learning how to be happy all the time. And that's not the responsibility of your spouse. That's your responsibility. In fact, you are the one, from your point of view, who is obligated to bring love and happiness into your marriage. There's another part, and that part is refining ourselves. In other words, we are souls. And here we have to go into another truth. We are souls. We don't have a soul. We are the soul. What we have is, to go along with our soul, we have a body and we have a mind. And the mind is pernicious. It gets us into all kinds of trouble. It worries about things. It speculates into the negative about everything. It's crazy. Minds are crazy, but there are ways to control it. And in order to be successful in our happiness, we must learn to control the mind, because the mind will not on its own make you happy. Remember, I talked earlier about fleeting happiness. Well, that's the mind being satisfied according to the self-preservation innate drive within each one of us. All of us have it. I refer to it as the drive to survive. In order to survive, there's things that we need and there's things we avoid. We need to drink water. We want to avoid drinking poison water. We need air. We need to avoid smoking so we don't take in poison air, and so forth. The mind's job, it has a job. It's just a computer. The mind's job is to distinguish between that which is beneficial and that which is detrimental. That's its job. And then what it does is it stores the reactions to different triggers, to things that say danger, danger, or opportunity, opportunity. So we react without thinking, without feeling from our heart. And this gets all of us into trouble all the time. So the spiritual path of marriage is one in which we must oversee our minds. It's critical. You cannot have happiness if you don't oversee your mind. Now, you may have it temporarily because external events and circumstances give you fleeting happiness. But that deep satisfaction that we get from love, we have to learn how to control the mind. And I know no one teaches us this. So there's more, of course. There are do's and don'ts to marriage. We have to learn what those are. Just like the spiritual path that we find in all religions, where we rely on the 10 Commandments, those 10 Commandments should be, in order to satisfy man's objection to being told what to do, they should be referred to as the 10 suggestions. In other words, I suggest you don't kill anybody because it's going to cause a lot of trouble. I suggest you don't lie. Well, in marriage, there are many things also that you should not do. And I'm going to hit on those indirectly when I give you the techniques a little bit later. So here's the thing I want you to take away from this video. And I'm going to be doing more videos like this, so you may want to subscribe. This is not the normal format for our videos, but I want you to take this away. Say it. I can have the most amazing marriage ever when I learn how to be married. No outer circumstance, nothing can interfere with that. No mother-in-law, no problems at work, no not enough money coming in, not even infidelity can create the negativity that exists in most marriages. It's a sad state of affairs right now in our world that most people get a divorce. Most, over 50%. Of those who don't get a divorce, a vast majority are unhappily married. It is such a shame. It's like getting into that airplane, getting into that Maserati, and not knowing how to take the next step. It's wasted. I don't want you to be in that situation. I want you to have the happiest possible marriage, and you can do it. You can have a marriage in which you're experiencing marital bliss. Will you have it instantly? No, of course not. There's a lot of work you have to do, but I can guide you. Now I'm going to give you some techniques that will help you. These are very practical techniques. They're based on the do's and the don'ts and the principles of marriage that I teach. Number one, and I'm going to give this number one to you because it's a constant problem for most marriages. Number one, never argue. Never. Now, you may say that's impossible. Well, maybe it is. Even the best of us eventually at some point will fall into it. But if you're looking at arguments as a mud puddle along the path of life, you will avoid it. So now I'm going to give you a technique for avoiding arguments. This is a communication technique. It's called, and I'm inventing this right now, it's called zip the lip. Your spouse may say something that really tweaks you. You do not, contrary to what you may think, you do not have to respond. You don't have to react. Reaction is embedded in the mind's habits. You don't have to fall back on those habits. You can be the judge over whether that habit is appropriate or not. If it is contentious, if it is defensive, if it is blaming, if it is critical, if it is anything other than loving, don't say anything. You don't have to. I'm going to give you now a backup technique along these same lines. And all of these are in, I failed to mention that I have a couple of books that I've written. So these techniques are in my books, but with more explanation in the online courses. I call this the buffet table technique of communication. And I'll take credit for inventing this. When someone is speaking, including yourself, when someone is speaking, there's never just one item put out there. There's a number of items put out there. And I call this the buffet table of communication. You're putting out these ideas, or your spouse is putting out these ideas on a tabletop. And the recipient of those, what will happen, and we're talking about you now, what will happen in your mind is it will take the most egregious plate and respond to that. The mind will tell you this is the most important. Now, you have free will, you have volition. These are gifts given us to get along better in the world by God. Instead of allowing your reaction to grab at the most obnoxious thing said or the thing that needs responding to, choose the least noxious item and respond to that. In fact, find one that you could take and turn into something positive. You will be amazed how effective this is. I don't just use it with my wife. I use it with policemen. I drive fast, so I get pulled over from time to time. I use it with judges. Sometimes I can't talk my way out of a ticket. I use it with everybody. Why? Because I want to be a peacemaker. In fact, my name, Paul Friedman, Friedman means man of peace, so I try to live up to that. Use this technique. At a minimum, watch. Watch how your spouse will put things on the table. Now, never go for it. Never say, no, this time I just can't take anymore. You can. You're not taking it unless you're choosing to take it. But remember, the pole star is you want love and happiness in your marriage. You see, we think the mind is doing the thinking in this case. We think this is important. I guarantee that even if you address it or don't address it, you'll forget it within hours. It isn't that important. But the mind is deceiving you. Why? Now I'm going to get back a little bit into the philosophy. The mind is a computer. I addressed this before. It's material. It's only based on outer conditions, input, and it gives you output, usually reactive, meaning that somewhere along the line, the mind decided this is the correct output, and we don't oversee it, so that becomes the output. The problem is the mind cannot experience that which you got married for. The mind cannot experience love. Cannot. Now, there are two kinds of love, you might say, and I'm not talking about the Greek. I'm not trying to break it down like that, although you could put that into that. But I'm not talking about emotional love. Let's say it that way. I'm talking about that love that you felt for your soulmate when you first got together, and you still feel for your soulmate when you're not distracted by the mind's nonsense. This is very, very deep stuff, because when you learn all of it as a package, you're able to keep it together. And that's what you want to do. You want to operate your marriage in the most effective and efficient way. Effective meaning every action, and there's three sorts. There's thinking, there is speech, and there's doing. All of those should be done coming from the heart. And that, if you follow what I have shared with you in this video, it will change your life. Experiment. Try it. Believe me. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation on these principles. I know that if you try these things that I've shared with you, it will help you tremendously. Like the video, perhaps share it with people in your social media, and leave a comment if you wish. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm so glad that you stopped by. I'm so glad I was able to share this with you. God bless you, and take care.